Chapter 61, We Are His Friends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liam instantly yanked his sister back, already knowing who was talking without even looking. He knew that voice and those smirking faces all too well, but to run into them here. He glanced around, spotting a narrow alley to their right, just beside the apartment building they were about to check out. Grabbing Maylene's hand, he pulled her toward it. A wave of loud laughter erupted as the group of guys excitedly followed. Well, well. Gotta deal with the trash I see on the street. The short, chubby one in front tossed his empty soda can on the ground and kicked it, aiming for Liam's head. It missed, hitting the wall behind him with a loud clang, making Maylene jump. Ha! Look at that. Punching Bag's got a girlfriend. Whoa. Check her out. Yeah, not bad. If you ignore the clothes, she's got a decent figure and a pretty face. Maylene trembled as the thugs surrounded them, saying crude things and acting like jerks. Bro. She gripped Liam's hand tightly, scared. Oh. Bro. That explains it. Ha ha. How could this loser land a girlfriend? Hey there, sweetie, why don't you come with me? I'll buy you anything you want. All you gotta do is give me a kiss. What do you say? Not a bad deal, right? Ha. Lay off, man. She's too young. Hey, Punching Bag, got another sister. One with bigger tits, maybe. This one's a little flat for my taste. Haha. Maylene shook as the guys kept saying those awful things. Bro. She looked up at Liam, who was unusually quiet, but the moment she did, she froze and let go of his hand. The man beside her suddenly scared her more than the thugs in front of them. Ha! Did you see that? Even his own sister thinks he's a loser. Ha ha! You've got your head on straight, kid. Why don't you run along home and wait for your brother? He's gonna hang out with us for a bit, then he'll be back. Heh heh. Don't worry. We're just gonna help him with his homework. He's been skipping class lately, right? Hey. If you wanna stick around, feel free. Heh heh. We can teach you a few things too. Maylene wasn't as fragile as she looked. Shaking off her initial fear, she started paying closer attention. When the thugs mentioned school, she instantly understood. These were the guys who had been beating and bullying her brother all this time. She'd helped him clean his wounds countless times. Her fear vanished, replaced by anger. She gritted her teeth and bent down to pick up a rock, but before she could throw it, a hand snatched it away from her, and then he threw it, and he wasn't aiming at the bullies, he was aiming at a car parked on the street beside the alley. Crash. The rock hit with enough force to set off the car alarm, a deafening blare that instantly drew everyone's attention. Since it was the middle of the day, people quickly started heading over. Fuck. Let's get out of here. Maylene stared in disbelief as the guys who had cornered them vanished. Bro. You. She looked up at her brother again, but the scary expression was gone. Sorry. You okay? Liam smiled gently. Looks like they took off. Wanna check out our apartment? Maylene numbly nodded, and they stepped out of the alley and into the apartment complex. She kept glancing back to see if they were being followed, but they were really gone. Only when the gate closed behind them did she finally sigh in relief. Things could have been way worse, but her brother had acted just in time and defused the situation. But something still didn't make sense. If he hadn't pulled them into the alley, none of this would have happened. And that look on his face. She'd never seen him look so angry. You spacing out? We're here. Liam's voice snapped her out of it, and she looked up to see a spacious living room. Whoa. So big. She gasped and walked inside. Too much was happening, and she was at a loss for words. Liam leaned against the door, patiently letting his sister explore and catch her breath. Maylene wandered around, but she kept stealing glances at her brother. Unlike her, whose heart was still racing, he seemed completely calm and relaxed. In fact, he'd been like that the whole time, as if they hadn't almost been assaulted by the same bullies who'd been terrorizing him for years. She just couldn't figure it out. Chapter 62, Did You Sell Your Kidney? You are listening at novelfull.audio. An hour later, Mtlnovel had explored the apartment, but Liam was still glued to the same spot, messing with his phone. Hey, you ready to go? It's getting dark, she said. Go where? Liam asked, looking confused. Before she could answer, heavy footsteps echoed near the door, and 3 guys stepped out of the elevator carrying newly packaged boxes. Liam Chung. That's me. One of the men pulled out a delivery slip and handed it to Liam, who stepped back, letting them bring the boxes inside. Come on, May, don't get in the way. Okay, but, Liam pulled her aside, and they stood in the hallway while the men made several trips, filling the apartment with boxes. Mtlnovel stared, wide-eyed. She had no clue what was going on. What is all this stuff? Whose is it? She finally blurted out. Seriously? Are you even paying attention? It's obviously our stuff. How are we supposed to live here without any furniture? Liam flicked her forehead. Her eyes widened even more, and she stared at him anxiously. A minute later, her eyes started to water, and she began sobbing. Whoa, what's wrong? Are you still upset about earlier? Liam asked, worried. No. Tell me the truth, please. Okay. Liam patted her shoulder, tears clinging to her lashes. She looked up at him. Did you sell your kidney? What? Liam burst out laughing. That's what you were worried about. He clutched his stomach, still laughing. You goofball. I didn't sell anything. If you keep asking me stuff like that, I'm going to sell you. He pinched her cheeks and wiped away her tears. Don't cry, okay? Okay. Mtlnovel nodded obediently, still a little dazed. Seeing her blank face, Liam patiently explained. I'm making good money playing the game, so you don't have to worry. Things are going to get even better, and we can live a peaceful life. I promise. Trust me. Though Mtlnovel nodded, she still worried. Was he working himself to death just to give them this stuff? Can I play the game too? Maybe I can help. She blurted out. Yeah, that's the plan. Give me a month, and then we can both play and make tons of money. Sound good? Mtlnovel was overjoyed that he agreed so easily and nodded eagerly. You said it. No take-backs. I won't. Don't worry. The two continued chatting while the men inside assembled everything, pretty much setting up the whole apartment. All the noise drew attention. The neighbor across the hall opened her door to see what was going on. Are you guys renting this place? Liam turned to see a young woman, probably in her 20s, munching on chips. She was wearing high-waisted shorts and a tank top that barely covered anything. Her long black hair hung in loose curls, and she looked like a model. She wore a friendly smile that revealed small dimples, making her seem approachable. Liam didn't want his sister to be lonely, especially since he'd be gaming full-time. So he decided to make proper introductions. Hi, I'm Liam, and this is my sister, Mtlnovel. Nice to meet you. Mtlnovel followed suit. Hi. We're your new neighbors. Please take care of us. The woman smiled, looking surprised. I'm Shinyu. Nice to meet you, too. You guys are so polite. Where are you from? Are your parents inside? It's just us, Mtlnovel replied. You're living alone with your brother. Liam had already wandered off, fiddling with his phone and letting the girls get acquainted. He took care of the necessities for the new place, paid the balance on their old apartment, and had his gaming capsule moved over. He'd also ordered one for his sister, which was promptly delivered. By the end of the day, everything was almost done, and the food arrived. He invited their new neighbor over, even though he wasn't sure if she'd be offended, but Shinyu was happy to join them. She even praised Liam, looking around the apartment. Not bad. You've got good taste in decorating. He just nodded, unsure what to say. He'd just ordered whatever had the best reviews. the three sat down at the dining table, making small talk. Mostly, the girls chatted while Liam silently wolfed down his food. He didn't linger longer than he had to, quickly finishing and washing up. Chapter 63, I am here to issue a job. You are listening at novelfull.audio. May, you two have fun. I'll be inside. Make sure you lock the door before you go to sleep. Okay. The little girl nodded while Shinyu turned on the TV and started flipping through channels. Alright, I'll see you both later. Liam smiled and went into his room, closing the door behind him. May, what's your brother doing? Shinyu asked, curious. He's a pro gamer, sis. The girl beamed with pride. Oh. Is he playing that new game everyone's talking about? I'm going to try it soon too. Apparently, it's super realistic, and you can have cute pets. Have you played it? What's it like? Do you like it? Maylin shook her head. Haha. I don't know. Maybe I'll play it next month. They chatted for a bit longer, then Shinyu left, and Maylin locked the door like her brother told her to. The apartment had 3 bedrooms, so she finally had her own space. She couldn't stop smiling as she looked around her new room. Everything was brand new and shiny, with a soft bed, a dressing table, a desk, and even a desktop computer. Wow, did my brother buy all this? She swallowed nervously. Few minutes later, a determined look came over her face. She quickly turned on the computer to learn everything she could about the new game. She didn't know if she'd be any good at it, but she wanted to do her best to help her brother, who was carrying everything on his shoulders. Meanwhile, inside Liam's room, the warm, loving smile he'd been wearing vanished, replaced by a stark look of anger and coldness. He quietly opened a capsule and stepped into the game world again, finding himself in the middle of a crowded street. More players had entered the city, making it much more lively than before. This would only get worse in the next few days since Alika City was a key location in the Gresh Kingdom. Liam didn't care about the crowd, though. In fact, he preferred it. He didn't stand out, and he inconspicuously walked to a bridge connecting the 2 sides of the city. Instead of crossing the bridge, he went underneath it and opened a door leading to darkness. This was one of the entrances to the city's underground sewer system, and it looked completely abandoned on the surface. A few rats scurried toward Liam from a corner, which he quickly took care of with a swing of his sword. He continued deeper until he reached another door. Without hesitating, Liam opened it. Surprisingly, this time there wasn't a dark tunnel or a depressing atmosphere. Instead, bright, disorienting lights flashed like a nightclub, and loud, rowdy noises spilled out. Liam calmly stepped inside and closed the door behind him. This was the infamous underbelly of the kingdom's trade capital, a den of thieves, mongrels, and criminals. Even the city's safety protocols, which prevented players from being attacked or injured everywhere else, didn't apply here. Hawkers selling suspicious items, prostitutes, pickpockets, drunks, and gamblers were everywhere. A couple of fights were breaking out. The air was nauseatingly intoxicating, as if it were filled with drugs. Liam kept his head down and weaved through the crowd, making sure not to engage anyone. He only stopped when he reached a fat drag queen dressed disgustingly. Hey handsome, want a ride? Only 1 gold for an hour. He. The man playfully flashed his plunging neckline, striking a seductive pose, but Liam's face remained emotionless and indifferent, untouched by the depravity around him. I'm here to put out a hit. Ooh. Too bad. I would have loved to ride a handsome guy like you. Right this way, darling. He lifted a curtain on the left, and Liam entered a small tent-like space. Weirdly, the tent was empty. Liam took out a couple of gold coins and placed them on the table, along with a piece of paper. I need information on the whereabouts of these people. Then, without looking back, he exited the tent and walked out of the underbelly, back into the sewer, and out from under the bridge. He was back in the main city. Liam walked to a shop, stocked up on essentials, and walked out of the city gates. Just as he was about to leave, a notification popped up with a list of names and locations. Already? Not bad. As reliable as always. Liam finally smiled. Time to take out the trash. Liam hadn't planned on dealing with this so soon, but he couldn't stay calm after what happened earlier. He would have taken care of them right then and there, back in that alley. It didn't matter that they outnumbered him. He could have turned them all into lifeless dolls, but he didn't. It took every ounce of control to avoid complicating his and his sister's future, but that was his limit. Now, in the game, he didn't need to hold back anymore. He didn't have that much patience or self-control. Chapter 64, Settling Some Debts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dude, this quest is insane. I can't wait to snag these rewards. Yeah, man. Your luck in this game is unreal. We should be the first to nail a chain quest like this. I don't think anyone's triggered something like this before. Whoa. I'm so hyped. I've got chills. 5 young guys stood together, battling plagued wolves, creatures infected with some kind of disease. They weren't terrible players, and their team setup was decent. 2 of them were tanks, absorbing the hits, 1 healed, and the other 2 dished out damage. These 5 were the same bullies who had always run together, making Liam's life hell since middle school. In his past life, these guys were a major reason he ended up a slave, and his sister suffered a horrible fate. Liam had plenty of scores to settle, and he wasn't planning on doing it this soon, but these guys were practically begging for it, so who was he to refuse? Unbeknownst to the 5 guys stalking a huge plagued ape, another predator was now stalking them. Liam waited, savoring the moment. Seconds later, the tank taunted the giant ape with his majestic roar, and the ape charged the group. Roar. Ah. Roar. Ah. A flurry of attacks hit the beast. The 2 tanks struggled to withstand the enraged ape's punches, but big damage numbers appeared above the ape's head, and soon its health was almost gone. Roar. Ah. One of them, Lu Senlin, the leader of the bullies, mimicked the ape, grinning like a maniac, ready to deliver the final blow. He dashed forward, swinging his hammer when a bolt of lightning struck. Before he could attack, the ape collapsed, dead. What the hell? Who attacked it? Lu Senlin spun around, shouting like a madman. Dude, none of us did anything, one of them replied. Yeah, bro, seriously. And even if we did, we'd still get the experience because we're in the same party, another pointed out. Lu Senlin's eyes widened. He was right. It couldn't have been one of his guys. Letting him get the last hit was just a formality. So, who stole their kill? Someone else was here. In stealth? They all looked around, but the area was eerily silent. Not even a leaf stirred. Confused and quiet, their misfortune wasn't over. A smoke bomb landed in the middle of the group, releasing thick white smoke. What the heck is going on? Gao, use wind blades or something. But Gao didn't respond, and a party notification popped up. Ding. A member of your party has died. Heal me. Heal me. Someone shouted, and another notification appeared. Ding. A member of your party has died. Ding. A member of your party has died. Ding. A member of your party has died. Lu Senlin was losing it. He looked around, clueless. One by one, his teammates dropped like flies. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Everything was going so well. What is happening? What the heck? Ding. You have died. As Lu Senlin's body fell, the smoke cleared, revealing 5 dead bodies on the forest floor and scattered equipment. Of course, there was someone else too, the one responsible. Liam didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The smoke grenade only lasted 10 seconds, and in that time, all 5 had been easily killed. He didn't even break a sweat taking down the group that had made his life miserable. How pathetic. Regret and anger welled up inside him. If he had stood up to them, if he had been better, would things have turned out differently? He sighed, casually picking up the loot. No point dwelling on the past. He blurred into motion, channeling mana into his feet to increase his speed, heading toward the nearby cemetery. It was the closest graveyard, near the neighboring village. It was also where Lu Senlin and his gang had gotten their quest, and it was about to become their permanent resting place. As the dead bodies dissolved into dust, the 5 of them respawned at the village graveyard. And as soon as they did. Guys, what exactly? Ah. Fuck. Again. Lu Senlin didn't even see his attacker before the notifications flooded in again. Ding. A member of your party has died. 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 Ding. You have died. 5 dead bodies hit the ground, one after another, disappearing seconds later, leaving behind a few items. This time, Lu Senlin knew something was up. He opened his status screen, ready to log out the instant he regained consciousness. Chapter 65, Even Death Cannot Save You. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Evolution Online, graveyards weren't safe zones. Players could be killed the instant they respawned, and you couldn't log out until you opened your status screen and selected the logout option. So, if you managed to attack someone before they could log out, you could keep killing them indefinitely, as long as their soul held out. This loophole became well known later in the game, and graveyard massacres became commonplace. It also made stealth skills highly valuable, as they were one of the few ways to escape a potential graveyard beatdown. However, the players online now had no clue about any of this, especially these 5 clueless guys who were currently getting slaughtered. Liam wasn't holding back. The strong trample the weak, plain and simple. The difference was that this time he was the stronger one, so why should he? These guys he was repeatedly killing had never shown him any mercy. The world wasn't fair to begin with, and this game and the ensuing apocalypse only made it worse. The die had been cast, and this was just the beginning. Lu Senlin and his group internally wailed, experiencing torture they'd never even imagined. The game's realism made it 100 times worse. How painful is a small paper cut? And how painful would that same cut be if it was aimed at your throat and ended your life? By now, Liam's identity was no longer a mystery to them. Their dead, lifeless eyes stared at the god of death in front of them every single time they were killed and brought back to life. They hadn't recognized him yet because his in-game avatar looked different, but they knew they'd seen him before. Even if they couldn't quite place him, Liam wasn't bothering to hide his face anyway. Today was their last day. What was the point? A small, blissful smile played on his face as he continued slashing his sword without blinking. Every time the 5 bullies spawned, his hand moved with perfect precision and cut them down. Their equipment dropped piece by piece, and after the first 20 times, their levels were reduced to 0. Lu Senlin and the others were at their wits' end. They just started playing and hadn't really ticked anyone off, so they had no idea why this was happening. When they saw they were back at level 0, some of them were secretly relieved. At least this insane torture was going to stop, right? Unfortunately for them, Liam wasn't that nice. He wasn't just trying to hobble them. He wanted to erase them completely. The 5 naked bodies hoped and prayed that the god of death had left, but when they respawned again, */*. Ding. A member of your party has died. 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 Ding. You have died. Fuck. Lu Senlin writhed in agony. He hated being the party leader because he got all the extra notifications, which only made things worse. Weren't they already broke, naked, and level 0? What more did this guy want? Who the hell had they offended to deserve this inhumane torture? Out of nowhere, for no reason, a familiar face crossed Lu Senlin's mind, but he dismissed it. There was no way it could be that loser, but now that he thought about it, a tiny seed of doubt sprouted in his heart. If he squinted, the person in front of him did look a little similar, so maybe? But how could that spineless worm possibly be so strong? He didn't have time to think about it anymore, as another round of torture descended upon them, and to add insult to injury, something else started happening. After they reached level 0, losing all their experience points, skill proficiency, and stat points, something felt off. Every time they died now, there was a burst of terrible, stinging pain that accompanied the death, but after that, a dull ache echoed even in the split second where they were supposed to feel peace before they respawned and died all over again. And it only got worse. Little by little, this dull pain became a throbbing, head-splitting ache that seemed to spread all over their bodies. It hurt so bad it felt like their brains were being squeezed and juiced. They lost all sense and rational thought, and they were about to completely lose it, and eventually, the 5 of them just vanished. Meanwhile, Liam yawned. He'd lost count of how many times he'd killed them. It didn't matter. No point in keeping track. Everyone's soul had a different strength, and there was no set number of deaths to erase someone from existence. He was about to kill them again, but no one appeared this time. This could only mean he'd succeeded. Done already? He chuckled coldly and stood up. Didn't even last 5 hours. Pathetic. Liam closed his eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and walked away without looking back. Unexpectedly, a system notification popped up in front of him. Chapter 66, Soul Devourer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding. You're the first to obliterate a soul. Ding. You've obtained the title, Soul Devourer. Soul Devourer, when equipped, undead affinity increases by 1 grade. Ding. You've obtained the Soul Devourer title and have SSS grade undead affinity. You can now enter the Nether Realm at will. Ding. Unique quest available, Devour 100 souls. Ding. Quest reward, skill book. Liam stopped, puzzled by the notifications. He scanned them, increasingly shocked. The title was new, likely because whoever got it didn't want to advertise killing someone. Regardless, it was useless to him. Next was the notification about the Nether Realm. This wasn't completely new. After the first month, there'd be an event where everyone could go, but now, he could go before the event. Liam clenched his fists, already calculating what he could do there. If things went his way, he could gain a huge advantage. This perk alone was a major win. But the last one, the unique quest, it sounded normal, but it was definitely asking him to do something terrible. Devour 100 souls, that means killing 100 people. Liam's expression flickered for a second before returning to its usual coldness. This was unexpected. He'd never heard of such a quest. But it was unique, so he wasn't passing it up. Yes, he muttered without hesitation. At the start of the game, every second was precious, yet he'd wasted 5 hours dealing with a ghost from his past. He had to do it to prevent a repeat of what happened on the street. He didn't move to a new apartment with his sister just to live among trash again. Trash needed to be taken out. Otherwise, it would stink up everything. That was his only goal. He didn't realize it would lead to this, another unique quest. What were unique quests? They offered unbelievable rewards. They could single-handedly make someone rise to the top. In his past life, rumors said there were only 10 in the entire game. And now, Liam had 100 people. Phew. Liam took a deep breath and squatted, doodling in the dirt with a twig. Spirit pet egg, forging, perfect foundation, and now the Nether Realm and the new quest. Too much to do, not enough time. There was also the prison key and gem shard from Neria's lair, but those weren't his top priority yet. He wasn't sure if they'd amount to anything. He needed to finish everything, and check a few other things off his list, before bringing his sister into the game. Liam calmed himself and started moving again. After weighing his options, he decided his first step was the spirit pet egg. Spirit pets needed a lot of attention, a long time to mature, and, most importantly, a lot of resources. Since he'd be traveling to high-level areas with thick mana, he decided to hatch the egg first for efficiency. Besides, every spirit pet was different, so even though he knew a hatching method, he wasn't 100% sure it would work. When it came to high-tier items and pets, people were usually tight-lipped. It would have been easier if he'd been someone important, but Liam had been a slave, and when he broke free, he was at the bottom, scraping for anything to get stronger. He'd scoured every bit of available information to change his fate. Everything he knew now was because of that. He'd worked day and night to change his place, and now he'd enjoy the fruits of his labor. Liam kept walking through the forests, still roaming around Alika City, not heading anywhere secretive to hatch his spirit pet egg. After a few minutes, he stopped at a chain of mountains, not tall or extensive, it was just a huge, barren crater with 4 hills in the middle, smoke rising from their tops. Liam jumped into the crater and started walking. A few players were grinding lava salamanders crawling everywhere. These beasts had thick, hardened scales for physical defense and used fire magic. They were 10 levels higher than Liam's level 15. But he casually walked deeper into the crater, toward the mountains. Sheehius. A lava salamander jumped in front of him, mouth open, throwing a fireball. Chapter 67, Did You Call Me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Healer, can't you throw up a holy shield before this? This freaking fire attack burns like hell. God damn it. Shut up. I'm taking more damage than you are. What the hell are you whining about? You shut up. Watching the tank and the damage dealer bicker, the healer was losing her cool. If you two don't shut your traps and quit fighting, I'm gonna let you both eat dirt. The tank spun around, ready to fire back, but then he noticed someone new. Who the heck is that? He stuck 2 fingers in his mouth and whistled loudly, waving at the lone player moving ahead. Hey, we're farming here. Can't you see that? Get lost. Liam just smiled. He'd spotted them already, but they'd have to wait. Another opponent had already stepped up. Hey, look. Another one spawned. And it's tangling with the salamander. Let's go steal it. The group chuckled and raced over. What a dumbass. Did he think he could handle a level 25 salamander solo? Even the top dogs on the leaderboard are barely past level 22, and this guy thinks he can take down a magical beast all by himself. He's got some balls, that's for sure. Yeah, well, they're about to get roasted. The 5 players slowed their pace, hoping Liam would get hurt or even die before they had to jump in. If they were lucky, the beast would already be softened up, making it easier for them to finish it off. But just as they were about to ease up, they saw a flash of light and a crimson sword materialized in the guy's hand. Before they could even blink, Liam was slashing at the lava salamander, his movements like lightning. Dodging the fire attacks, huge damage numbers popped over the salamander's head, and then its eyes went dark. Not bad. Liam grinned. After hours of struggling with mana control, he was finally getting the hang of weaving mana into his sword attacks. Not perfect, but he was getting there. Liam kept fighting the salamander, treating it like the elite boss he'd faced before. He was using it as a training dummy, sparring with it while sharpening his skills. Because of the level difference, he couldn't just one-shot it. He was slowly grinding it down at his own pace, and the spectators could see that crystal clear. What the? How the hell is he soloing that thing? Did you see that? He blinded it first. That's gotta be the secret to fighting lava salamanders. The tank glared at the guy who just dropped that nugget of wisdom and spat on the ground. Moron. Every beast has eyes. What secret are you talking about? The mage quickly looked away, embarrassed. He'd blurted out something dumb because he was mesmerized by the way the guy moved. Every move was precise. No flashy spells or special techniques. Just basic sword slashes, as far as they could tell, and that was apparently enough to take down a beast that the 5 of them were struggling with. Did you see his footwork? He's dodging all the fireballs. Wait, is there a pattern? Maybe the salamander throws a fireball every few seconds. The group started dissecting Liam's every move, as if he was a walking, talking strategy guide. They even forgot their original plan to scare him off and steal the beast for themselves. The fight went on, the group watching Liam with their eyes glued to the screen. Soon, another salamander spawned where they'd been fighting, and they scrambled back to it, trying to copy Liam's moves. Mage, go for its eyes first. Thief, attack the head. Dude, shut up. We all saw the same thing. Just fight. The group unleashed a volley of attacks on the lava salamander, and the fight was much easier this time. They chopped their completion time by more than half. just as they were about to bring the salamander down, a sharp voice cut through the air. "Did you call me?" Liam had appeared right next to them, silent as a ghost. The tank jumped so hard he dropped his shield. Luckily, they were already close to killing the beast, so it didn't matter much, and he quickly snatched his shield back up to finish the job, and to their surprise, the guy was still waiting. The five glanced at each other blankly before the tank finally spoke up. "Hey man, you planning on grinding here?" Sorry. Just asking so we can find somewhere else to go. We don't want to bug you, The others stared at the tank, who'd done a complete 180, but no one complained. They just gave him a silent thumbs up. The guy in front of them was obviously a serious player. It was best not to make enemies out of people like that for no reason. One by one, they all started throwing out compliments, trying to butter up the expert, but the so-called expert didn't look happy at all. Unexpectedly, he seemed disappointed. "You guys really called me over just to talk about this?" Liam sighed. "Forget it. You guys carry on. Good luck." He turned and walked away. Chapter 68, New Pet Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Liam hummed and wandered deeper into the crater toward the mountains. He was in a better mood, relieved that a nagging task was finally done. As he approached the mountain, he slowed. The temperature was rising. Liam took a deep breath and started circling the base of the mountain. He knew the only entrance was a cave at the very top. He searched and found it without much trouble. But the real challenge was just beginning. The only way to reach the cave at that height was to climb the damn thing. Liam rubbed his hands and placed his right hand in a small crevice, then his left hand a bit higher, pushing himself up. His body obeyed easily, his muscles handling the weight. It wasn't a surprise, but it was satisfying to do this so casually. It was even a release. The higher he climbed, the more relaxed he felt. Falling would be certain death, but he still enjoyed it. In minutes, he was halfway up. Liam quickly ate a berry to replenish his energy. Things were about to get tricky. Another minute of climbing and loud screeching filled the air as a flock of birds descended. "Wind rippers," Liam muttered, looking up. These aerial mobs were common at this altitude. The bluish-gray birds were about the size of dogs, with sharp, metallic feathers that gave them their name. The four birds attacked, surrounding Liam. They didn't have special attacks, but their physical strength was impressive, drawing blood quickly. Liam was prepared and immediately fought back, spamming mage skills. He wasn't going to use this as a training exercise while dangling midair. Ice shard, lightning bolt, fireball. Damage numbers appeared above the birds, and they were injured. Their movements were disrupted, especially by the freezing effect of the ice shards. However, Liam was taking damage too. He was clinging to the mountainside and couldn't evade much, but the birds were only level 10, so he was dealing more damage than he was taking. Otherwise, he would have leveled up a bit more before this expedition. After a few casts, Liam noticed, lightning bolt, dealt the most damage and spammed it. Is it because I practiced it more? The fight lasted a few more seconds until the birds fell, unable to withstand the attacks. Ding. 10 experience points have been rewarded. Ding. 10 experience points have been rewarded. Point 2 fell with the loot, while the other 2 landed on the mountain. Awaken. Liam muttered. The dead birds looked alive again, flapping their bleeding wings and waiting for his command. Liam nodded and resumed climbing. If more birds came, he'd have these 2 to help. As he climbed higher, another problem emerged. The sturdy rock became too hot to touch. There it is, Liam chuckled. He grunted in pain with each step, but kept pushing, climbing faster. Even with his physique, he was starting to get winded, but he couldn't slow down. The longer he lingered, the more the rocks burned his hands. Just climbing was draining his health. Another wave of birds appeared. Whoosh. 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 Their metallic wings sliced the air as they dived. Liam paused with a wry smile and started spamming his skills again. The 2 undead birds fought, but the hot rocks were also chipping away at his health. Liam knew he couldn't let it continue. He saw a larger crevice and swung himself up, holding on with one hand. He took out his sword and started slicing the birds with his crimson blade. The tables turned and the birds were quickly pushed back. He gained the upper hand and soon, with a dangerous balance of losing health and dealing damage, he slashed down all the birds. They dropped dead, and his 2 undead summons were still active, though one's wing was shredded. Ding. 10 experience points have been rewarded. Ding. 10 experience points have been rewarded. Not bad. That was close. Liam drank a health potion, recovering his health as another damage number appeared from touching the hot rock. His hand stung from holding the scorching rock. Fuck. He switched hands and looked at the dead birds. Awaken. 4 more undead birds were summoned, but since he could only control 5, 1 fell. Alright. Time to finish the climb. Hua. Liam sucked in a deep breath and stretched his chest before sprinting upwards. He was pushing his limits. To anyone watching, it looked like he was running up the mountain. He focused his mana on his hands and feet, moving with all his strength and agility. He couldn't maintain it for long, but he could almost see the cave opening, so Liam sprinted without holding back. He almost crashed into the cave. A huge bird stared back, guarding a clutch of eggs, with a silver glow around its body. Twin-tailed Wind Ripper. Elite boss. Level 15. Health, 50,000. This was the twin-tailed Wind Ripper, a well-known elite boss in this area, and Liam knew its attack patterns. Huff. Attack. Huff. He sacrificed his undead birds to catch his breath. His vision was blurry, and his body felt faint from the altitude, exhaustion, and heat. He drank another health potion and joined the fight. 3 of his undead were already dead. Since the undead summons were weaker, it was good that 2 survived, probably because the elite boss was guarding its eggs while fighting. Liam was surprised to see the eggs. They were rare, especially flying pet eggs. Even if the pets didn't transfer to the real world, flying pets were still valuable as mounts. But last time, no one had found eggs in this cave. So people hid things. Finders keepers, I guess. Liam grinned and drew his sword to deal with the bird. Now he could fight freely. Slash. 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 The crimson blade flashed as he danced around the bird, as if targeting the eggs. Chapter 69, New Pet Part 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Caw. Caw. Liam's attacks slowed the twin-tailed Wind Ripper down, allowing him to land a couple of solid hits. He kept up the pressure, alternating between sword strikes and lightning bolts. Compared to the Bear King, this elite didn't last long. The bird was trapped in the cave, unable to use its agility to its full advantage, which was its strength. Plus, it was guarding its eggs, making it restless and unfocused. Well, that was the easiest elite ever. Liam grinned. It was probably intended as a reward for the first player to reach the mountain's peak, but this wasn't his final goal, so without wasting any time, he quickly whittled down the Wind Ripper's health. In a last-ditch effort, the bird flapped its wings with all its might, unleashing blasts of sharp wind. Liam dug his feet into the ground and jammed his sword into a rock crevice, holding on tight. He then swung around behind the bird, ready to bring his sword down on its neck, when he noticed the eggs were about to be blown out of the cave. Liam deliberately missed his attack, instead managing to grab one of the eggs, saving at least one. He then blasted the already severely injured bird with a bolt of lightning to finish it off. Ding. Congratulations. You have killed the twin-tailed Wind Ripper. You have gained 10,000 experience points. Ding. You have leveled up. The experience points weren't as high as when he'd killed the Bear King, but the difficulty was also lower since there wasn't as big of a level difference. Besides, this was just a bonus. The main event was still ahead. Liam put the bird's egg into his inventory and headed to the back of the cave, which, surprisingly, opened up. He walked to the opening and peered inside, feeling a wave of hot, scorching air hit his face. Inside the mountain was a pool of bubbling lava, and in the middle of it was a huge rock. Liam took a deep breath and jumped from the cave onto the rock, landing steadily. He lost a little health because the rock, like everything else, was scalding hot, but he quickly chugged a health potion to get back to full. Alright, let's see if this works. Liam sat down cross-legged and pulled the egg from Neria's lair out of his inventory. He placed the egg on the scorching rock and backed away, watching it with curiosity. He'd only read about this vaguely, so he wanted to see how it would actually work. Within seconds, wisps of burning red fire essence rose from the lava and flew toward the egg. One by one, they swirled around the egg and disappeared, as if they were entering it. Interesting, Liam mused. He took out the other egg and placed it near the first one. This second egg was the one he'd gotten from the twin-tailed Wind Ripper. But as soon as he pulled it out, cracks started forming on the shell. Crap. Liam immediately put it back into his inventory. He had never dealt with pets, let alone rare pet eggs. In his previous life, he assumed the Wind Ripper's egg might also benefit from the lava since its nest was on the same mountain, but apparently not. Well, I'll check it out later if it's still good. Liam scratched his chin and went back to watching the first egg. More and more fire essence had gathered around the egg, and it was slowly absorbing it all. So a spirit-type beast is born from the essence of its element? Could I absorb this essence too? Liam reached out to touch the red wisps of energy. He expected them to be scorching hot, but they were surprisingly warm, even relaxing, and nice to touch. As he moved his hand around, a small bit of the fire essence entered his finger. What? Liam quickly pulled his hand back. Ding. Congratulations. You have gained an affinity for the fire element. All your fire-type attacks have 5% increased damage. Liam was speechless. He'd heard about affinity and how some mages had extremely high affinities, but he didn't know much about it, let alone expect to gain it so early in the game. This kind of information was restricted and not easily available. All he knew about spirit-type pets was that they were likely to hatch in their element, and people who had contracted spirit-type pets were strong enough to hold their own in the real world when things went sideways, but there was clearly more to it than that. Liam flopped down on the rock and threw his head back, laughing loudly. It seemed like he needed to keep his eyes and brain working overtime. Even the smallest detail could be incredibly important. He took a deep breath and started hovering his hand near the egg again. From what he could see, the egg was acting like a magnet, pulling in all the wisps of fire essence. When he placed his hand directly over the lava, nothing happened, and he wasn't about to test it out by putting his hand in the lava. His hand would probably be burnt to a crisp in a heartbeat, and he didn't have any healing spells yet. Chapter 70, New Pet Part 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. From what Liam could gather, the egg was somehow pulling fire essence from the lava, and he was siphoning off some of it. This gave him an idea. Liam picked up the egg, sat down on the rock, and placed the egg on his lap. Then, he continued to absorb whatever essence he could steal. He continued this undisturbed for several minutes. However, as time passed, the lava began to bubble and gurgle more intensely, and a hissing sound echoed throughout the pool of molten rock. Liam quickly put the egg back on the rock and stood up. He was surrounded on all sides by 4 lava mambas. Well. Did you guys show up because we were stealing your essence? He grinned and prepared to fight. After absorbing a bit of fire essence, he was starting to feel more comfortable in this hellish place, but he wasn't naive enough to think it would make a huge difference. These snakes had a major advantage, standing in their own territory. Plus, they were level 25, just like the lava salamanders. Liam cautiously went all out from the start, casting a lightning bolt, before slashing his sword at the red-scaled reptile. 150. A huge damage number appeared. Blood spurted from the injury, but almost immediately, the health loss was recovered and the blood dried up. The mamba's health bounced back, leaving only 30 residual damage, which then disappeared as the mamba dipped its head into the lava and hissed proudly. As if that wasn't enough, the other 3 snakes attacked the egg simultaneously. Shit! Liam quickly retreated and stood in front of the egg, finding himself in the same position as the twin-tailed Wind Ripper, trying to protect his egg like a mother hen. He swung his sword, parrying the attacks from all 4 sides, but he was only able to block them. Dealing damage seemed almost impossible. He didn't even have time to think of a better strategy as the 4 lava mambas continued hissing and relentlessly attacking the egg. Liam started to sweat. Considering his skills and abilities, it looked like he had been overconfident. He could have dealt with these snakes more easily if he'd leveled up a bit more, but he didn't regret his actions. He'd faced worse before. This sticky situation was a great training opportunity, or at least that's how he decided to see it. So, I can't deal any damage, and I have to keep blocking their attacks until the egg hatches. Alright, let's do this. Just like he tried to combine mana with his forging technique, he started focusing his mana into his sword moves. The damage numbers instantly went up, -230, -190, -220, -240. However, the four Mambas easily recovered by taking another dip in the lava pool. Hiss. 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 They came back at him with the same strength and the cycle started again without any change. Liam smiled grimly at this frustrating sight and continued to fight back patiently. Time ticked by slowly, and every minute felt like an hour. His reserves of mana potions, health potions, and stamina berries were also dwindling steadily. In reality, using these supplements was not ideal because they left behind a certain amount of residual impurities unless they were of the highest quality. Liam ignored this because he was eventually going to fully cleanse his body. Otherwise, this wouldn't even be an option. Even so, it was becoming increasingly difficult to keep up. With the added mental fatigue, Liam could only hope that the four Mambas were also tiring, but before he could find out, something else happened. Suddenly, the amount of fire essence seeping from the lava increased, and more wisps swirled around the egg. The eggshell was glowing brightly, radiating a strange energy. Is this finally over? Liam exhaled wearily as he swung his sword again. As if in response, the lava around him gurgled again, and to his dismay, another four lava Mambas rose from the magma. His face darkened as he saw all 8 snakes coming at him, or rather, the egg. Son of a bitch. I'm screwed. He swung his sword wildly, trying to block and parry all 8 snakes, but that quickly drained his reserves in the blink of an eye. All 8 took a dip in the lava pool, replenished their energy, and came back hissing angrily. They seemed determined to crack open the egg and take all the fire essence that had been absorbed. Liam knew instantly that this was going to end badly. He was going to die and lose the egg as well. While the former wasn't irreversible, the latter would be a major setback. Looks like I have no other choice. I'll have to use that. Liam sighed, then calmed himself and composed himself before closing his eyes. This better work. He wasn't looking at the 8 Mambas or their movements. He looked like he had given up. As the 8 snakes hissed at the egg, just as they were about to shatter it open, Liam finally moved.